you start every baseball season off with such high aspirations and such high hopes. And you start believing in some of the stuff that you are told. You start reading into the tea leaves. And you're emotionally, financially, psychologically invested in everything they do. And then this happens, and it all comes crashing down to earth. And now we have to pick up the pieces of our lives and move on. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Final Word with your boy MattyB, or Final Word with MattyB, with your boy MattyB on the call here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network on this lovely Wednesday, October the 10th, 9th, 2024. Phillies lose tonight 4-1. The magical ride, I don't know if it was a magical ride. The magic for this ride of 2024 wore off on me a while ago, but it was a good ride. It had a lot of high hopes, high expectations. I remember those days back in Clearwater where it was all about the World Series. It was all about winning a World Series. And they fell short. They fell short tonight to a team that, let's face it, wanted it more than they did. And there's going to be a lot of talk over the next few days, weeks, months, maybe, about what happened and why. And there's going to be some people that try to extrapolate positives out of what happened. There's nothing positive about this. This is a straight embarrassment. This is a straight up slap in the face of every Philadelphia Phillies fan that's ever bought a hat, bought a jersey, bought a shirt. This is a disgrace. And management, the team, and the players of this baseball club need to be held accountable. And the ones that are going to do that are you, the fans, us, the fans. And it starts tonight. The Fighting's Final, which was on this network a little earlier, started the conversation. But obviously, this is going to be the main part of our discussion tonight, is that the Phillies have ended their 2024 postseason ride very uninspiringly up there in Flushing, 4-1 losers. And I know the talk about this game for me, it really just comes down to a team that wanted it more than the Phillies did. The 1-0 lead, I got to be honest with you, was very surprising. And the fact that Ranger Suarez wasn't shelled out of the game by the third inning. What was he up to, like 58 pitches by the third inning? But still, for somehow, did not give up any runs. And I got to give Ranger credit. And this is not positive. It's not a positive thing that I'm extrapolating, because with Ranger, that's going to be an interesting story to follow this winter and into next spring about the health of Ranger Suarez. But obviously, there's something wrong with his pitching. There's something wrong with him. He's hurt, obviously. The velocity is not there. The ball had no kind of bite, had no kind of movement like it did earlier in the season. And that's not indicative to tonight. That's been the way it's been for the last 2 or 3 months. But to Ranger's credit, he didn't try to get funny with that. He knew his limitations. He knew he wasn't going to get anybody out with his fastball. So what he went with the junk, man. And the Mets were biting. And it was working for him. It was working for him, but it was fool's gold. We all knew that. I was actually pretty surprised he made it to the fifth. And then the offense. It's such an old, tired conversation. It's such an old, tired thing for me to bring up about this unbalanced offense with no discipline, no understanding of situational baseball. And I'm not saying small ball, situational baseball. How many times have we seen it this year mainly? They get a couple runners on with nobody out and they can't score. What was it tonight? 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. I'm telling you, I'm getting the tattoo. The RISP batting average tattoo across my forehead. For the postseason, in the 4 games the Phillies were in the postseason this year, they were a putrid 6 for 31 with runners in scoring position against the Mets, for a lustrous 193 batting average. The pitching, for the most part, starting-wise, and I know it's 2 tails to the pitching, was enough. With the way this offense is supposedly supposed to be, they got enough starting pitching to include tonight from Ranger Suarez, which, again, I'm going to applaud the performance from Ranger. It was the worst game I've ever seen anybody pitch in my entire life. He had no business lasting to the 5th inning. He had no business not giving up any runs, but yet he did. And that's a credit to himself. That's a credit to the pitch selection. That's a credit for knowing his limitations and throwing everything but the kitchen sink up there, except a fastball that would hang across the plate at 88 miles an hour. And he got the Mets to bite. And then we got to talk about the bullpen, I guess. I mean, to the bullpen's credit, and I know the Hoffman thing. The Hoffman thing, he worked out of a jam, sat for a while, and then was brought back in. Should have been brought back in? I don't know. I mean, who was the next option there, right? The problem, again, with this bullpen is that no defined roles. Nobody knows who they are night to night. That's on Rob Thompson. It's always been on Rob Thompson. That's no way to run a bullpen. I said it at the beginning of the season that bullpen by committee was going to be the downfall of this team. I stand by that. And tonight, I think it definitely played its part. And then the general malaise of the offense of this group of hitters, and you can jump all over Alec Boehm all you want. You can jump all over Brandon Marsh all you want. You can jump all over players like that. They're not the ones that are being paid lots of money to hit that little white baseball. And the ones who are being paid lots of money to do that, with the exception, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, Nick Castellanos, they let you down, man. You know, MV3 lets you down. The Schwarbinator lets you down. JT lets you down. And there's no other way to say it other than that. I'm not going to get into the excuses of it. They let you down. In a moment where the season was on the line, they came up short against the New York Mets in a bad way. And that's why they're no longer in the baseball season. And that's the right thing. This team, or the better team, the more worthy team, won this series and are moving on to the NLCS. I'm not going to say congratulations, New York Mets, because you know what? I would be physically ill if I had to say that. But the more worthy team is moving on into the National League Championship Series. So we're going to talk that. If we have time, we're going to talk about some Eagles. We're going to talk about the rest of the MLB playoffs because it's kind of a big slate tonight around Major League Baseball. The hockey season is underway. We'll get into some of that if time permitting. But obviously the conversation tonight is going to be driven around the Philadelphia Phillies and their exits from the 2024 postseason. Remember, this is the It's the Wrap Sports Network. Like and subscribe on YouTube, a little ticker thing going across. We are also streaming out over the EOP Facebook and the EOP X accounts. And before we get into this discussion and kind of jumping off what the Fightins Final did, I want to thank everybody over at the Fightins Final. It's never good when the season ends early, especially for the work that we've done over the years on the Fightins Final. And one of these years, God damn it, we're going to actually finish it the right way. But tonight was our final episode, or final post game, I should say, of the Fightins Final. Sal and Pat had it. So thank you to them, to Al, to Mike for a great season. Even Steve Fuentes, who jumped on for literally 3 games this year. Thank you for a great season. We are going to provide you some sort of season in review episode here, probably sometime after the World Series comes to an end. And circle the date on your calendar. February 12th, 2025 is when pitchers and catchers will report, hopefully to Clearwater if it's still there after these hurricanes. But that's when the 2025 spring training season will commence on February 12th with the pitchers and catchers reporting. So thankfully, baseball is not a long offseason. Thankfully, it's not a 6-month endeavor like football. So hopefully we can get this thing spun up. And, of course, what will this team look like when we do get to spring training? Who's running the show? Does Rob Thompson survive? Does his coaching staff survive? Do these players survive? Is there major does Dombrowski survive? Does this team get shooken up? Because how much more do we got to see from this product to kind of understand that they're not going to win a World Series as is? So a lot of Phillies talk yet to happen, but tonight, obviously, the main focus is around the loss against the New York Mets. Let's go to the big board. Barbara, how you doing? The series was an embarrassment. Major changes must be made, and nobody is exempt. I don't think that is anybody going to argue that, Barbara? Does anybody have a leg to stand on to argue that? I think we talked about this last night on the Fight Is Final. Major changes. An embarrassment, yes. Major change worthy, yes. But then you got to look at the financial implications of all that. You know, do the Phillies sell this team off? I mean, are all the pieces, as you say, non-exempt? And what does that look like? Do you sit up there and try to draw up a lineup with power hitters that you already have and then try to fill in the gaps with some contact hitters? Do we finally address the fact that we actually need a leadoff hitter? Do we get Bryson Stott out of the 5-hole? Does Alec Boehm have a place on this team next year? Does Johan Rojas have a place on this team next year? Bryson Stott have a place on this team. Good God, we can go down the list. Is it time to find an actual backup catcher to spell JT Realmuto? Because he seems to be declining at a rapid pace. You know, you're right. Major changes are needed, but is it possible to do that? Are people going to take these contracts off our hands? We have two big pieces of this team heading into their final year of contract, and that's Schwarber and Realmuto. Do you potentially look to move them this offseason? Does somebody take on the final year of their deals? You know, then you got the other players out there. Castellanos through 2026, I think he is, or 27 under contract. Bryce Harper to the end of time is under contract. And then, of course, Trey Turner on into infinity is under contract. So I hear what you're saying, but can we actually do that? And it's going to be interesting. Or do the Phillies stand pat and say, you know what, we're way too invested. We're too weighed in deep on this. We're going to dink and dunk. We're going to try to find a center fielder. We're going to try to find potentially another maybe competent backup like a utility guy in the infield that can actually play and hit. We're going to go out and potentially sign a fifth starter, maybe bring in some competition for Suarez. You know, we're going to define the roles in the bullpen and look for a closer. You know, there's a lot of work to be done with this team, and do they have the ability to do all that? And if they decide to do that, that's kind of a revelation that it's not working, and that would hit pretty hard. But I agree with you, Barbara, man. I'm not telling you you're wrong, not at all. Not surprised. There now needs to be some house cleaning. They were never the same after the London trip. Jeff, that is well documented. They were never the same after the London trip. I spent a long time, again, being part of the Fight Is Final and the former kind of baseball guy at EOP, diving deep into stats all season long. And it was an obvious drop-off since London. You know, and that's documented. Even though a lot of people try to wish it away like it wasn't happening, and I heard it all year. I heard it all year long. It's a marathon, not a sprint. I mean, listen, the handwriting was on the wall, man. I get the whole marathon, not sprint thing. I'm not asking them to win every damn game, but just the long gaps of lifelessness that would come over this team. No sense of urgency. Just was kind of like what they were for a long time towards the end of the regular season. And that lack of sense of urgency followed them into the postseason as well. This team never seemed interested in the fact that they were losing. And I don't know if it was their own arrogance, if it was their own overconfidence about it. JT made a comment in the postgame, something in reference to we knew when the lights came on, we would flip a switch. What the hell does that mean? What does that mean? Like you were waiting to the 11th hour and say, okay, finally we're going to come and play. You can't win like that in Major League Baseball. Hell, you barely win that way in high school baseball. So that attitude says a lot about this team's character and says a lot about the fact that they are not held accountable for any of their actions inside that dressing room. And maybe that's where it starts, obviously. And that's going to be, Thompson's going to take the brunt of this, as he should. Is Rob Thompson the right guy to lead the ship? I say no. And how much more proof do we need to see otherwise? They're regressing on all fronts. Next year would be, if we're going to follow the trend, we'll get to the wild card and lose that. And then in 26, we'll not make the playoffs. So we are regressing on all fronts. And these players are not getting any younger. So, Jeff, I agree. They were not the same, and they regressed on some numbers throughout the rest of the show, because this is, again, this will be a Phillies show tonight, because I guarantee that's what the conversation will be. But the Phillies gave up 7 home runs in the postseason. 7 home runs this postseason in 4 games. And I say this postseason, you guys know what I mean. I mean 4 games. I mean, that's close to 2 home runs a game the pitching staff gave up. Phillies hit 3 home runs all postseason themselves. So that's way off. Again, the big one, the 6 for 31 with runners in scoring position. They left 30 runners on base in this series for 7.5 average a game. Amazing. Absolutely 100% amazing. Just offensive numbers that just frustrates you, because I said it last night. It's not that this team is too good on paper. This team is paid too much on paper to perform like this. And if John Middleton is the owner he claims to be, he should be tearing his office apart down there in South Philadelphia. Tearing it apart right now. And that's how pissed off he should be. Brian chiming in, there are no positives. The players should be embarrassed. Topper needs to go along with the coaching staff. The lineup needs a major shakeup. You live and die with the long ball. Brian, you just echoed the sentiments of about 1 billion Phillies fans. And it's so obvious, yet so taboo to talk about. A lot of people don't want to go there, because we always here in the city, we always want to believe that we have the right recipe, that we're not that franchise. We're not that bad. You know, we are the model, not the dumpster fire, right? Well, the Mets are moving on to into the LCS, and the Phillies are going home. So I don't know, man, but I agree. Maybe Rob Thompson's message, and whatever that message was, whatever it was, with not being held accountable, and I'm not gonna say they weren't held accountable, because I wasn't inside the locker room. I don't know any of that stuff, but they definitely never played with a sense of urgency. No one ever, to me, feared for their job under Rob Thompson. They can pretty much do whatever they want to do, and it's okay. Again, 162 games, I understand that. I'm not asking for perfection night after night after night, but I'm asking for competent play. Tonight, Alec Bohm. Has he forgotten how to play the position of third base at the major league level? You're in an elimination game, and you're not breaking on those obvious slow ground balls, and you're hanging back on them. Now, I don't know if one of them he was concerned he was going to run into the runner as he was breaking in to make a play on the ball. Well, again, basic OBR baseball rules state if you are interfered with by an offensive player in the attempt to make a defensive play, the runner's out. So you don't fear running into the runner, because it would have been interference and the runner would have been out. But the lackadaisical defensive play out there on third base, on both teams actually, Vientos in a situation there trying to save that run, ended up not getting any outs. It's the 4th inning. I don't care what. Yeah, it's the 4th inning and it's 1 run. You go for the out at first base without hesitation. You don't even care about that runner on third. But for Alec Bohm, just a lackadaisical approach of defense at third base. What was the repercussion of that? How was he held accountable for that? And again, I wasn't in the dugout. Maybe he got a stern talking to a guy that just got benched. And that's how he's going to come back from his benching and play defense like that? Do we have a problem at third base? Is Aiden Miller, who's been spending a lot of time at the high A level, learning how to play shortstop, mind you, do we scrap that plan and say, you know what, Aiden, you need to go back to a full-time third baseman because we might have a job for you waiting next year? I don't get that. I don't get the laissez-faire attitude defensively for Alec Bohm tonight, playing third base. I don't get it. And I just don't get it. At this level, at this point in the season, how do you play third base like that? So you're right. And then, yeah, it's amazing, man. It's amazing. Yeah, and Chris says praying for everyone in Florida. Absolutely. Florida's getting hammered tonight. And if you know anybody down there in the Tampa Gulf Coast area, please, if you can, reach out to them. Make sure they're okay. I do not want to know what it's like to go through. I've survived a couple of hurricanes, gone through a few of them, tornadoes, all that kind of stuff. They're destructive, and they don't discriminate over anything or anybody. So please reach out to some people down there in that area if you know anybody, and just make sure they're okay. No consistency, send them all to batting school. Vivian, we're beyond that phase with these guys. These are professional Major League Baseball players who are getting paid millions of dollars to do that, to do what you just watched over the span of the last 4 games. They're getting paid millions. Bryce Harper's going to go back to his palatial mansion in South Jersey tomorrow, shut it down for the winter, head back to Vegas, and hang out at his palatial mansion in Vegas and lament over what happened in the playoffs. They're not. Of course they're not. These are professional athletes. Sending them to batting school, we're well beyond that. We're well beyond that. Joseph, I'm turning into NASCAR and only a postseason junkie. Phillies suck. Harper gets paid a bunch. He's junk. Let it fly, Joseph. You're not going to get any arguments from your boy tonight. I have nothing negative. I have nothing to counter that, other than the NASCAR thing. I've never gotten into that. Real Muto, Harper, Turner, Schwarber all choked. They most certainly did. And that's the core of this team right there. That is the core of this team. And Rob Thompson can say all he wants about how proud he is of the resiliency, how proud he is of the never die attitude, which I didn't see any of that. I saw a team that was dead. I saw a team that was dead starting in game 1. Offensively, what was the run production for this series? I think they averaged 3 runs a game. Is it less than 3 runs? 3 runs exactly. The Phillies scored or averaged 3 runs a game this series and gave up 5.7. So, again, using the rule of 5, because you can't score a 0.7th of a run, we'll round that 5.7 up to 6. So they were essentially doubled up with runs per game. Okay? 3 to 6. And these guys, as you mentioned, the 4 of them right here, are being paid big money to come here and be these offensive juggernauts. All these Schwarber leadoff home runs, where did it get us? Where did all the Schwarber leadoff home runs get us? Where's the Trey Turner standing ovations? Where did that get us? What is Bryce Harper with all his MVP trophies? Where did that get us? BCIB? Please. Can we stop saying that about JT Realmuto? He's not the best catcher in baseball. Has not been that for some time now. Can we stop saying it about him? He comes up small offensively. His defensive ability is pretty good still. But it's both sides of the plate for him. Offensively, he's a liability as well. These are 4 major pieces to the puzzle. And right now, there are 4 major question marks going forward into 2025. And 2 of them, 2 of them are under long-term contracts. 6 more years with Harper, 8 more years with Turner. And we ain't getting away from them. What do you do? What do you do? Harper let us down again against Diamondbacks too. He's just junk. The Phils had an astonishing season. Joseph, the Phillies had an astonishing half a season. Are you referring to astonishing in the positive way of like, oh my God, it was amazing? Because if you are, I have to push back a little bit on you. They had an astonishing first 81 games. After that, they had a 500 season. Let's be honest. And again, we can run the numbers real quick because I love doing it. In the first half this past season, the Phillies were 53-28. Second half, they were 42-39. Now, when I say halves, I mean the legitimate half. I don't mean the All-Star break. I mean game 1 through 81 and game 82 through 162. Okay? Game 1 through 81, they were 53-28. And then the last 81 games, they were 42-39. just a little bit above 500. So without the 53-28 start, do the Phillies even make the playoffs? And honestly, this version of them, did they waste somebody else's spot? Does somebody else who was more worthy not go to the playoffs because of the fugazi of the Philadelphia Philly first half? All season long. And you know what? As I sit here and stew about it, and I'm going to stew about it. For those of you who are new to me, I am not your typical Philadelphia sports talk host. I'm not. I'm a little on the real side. And all season long, I got to deal with card-carrying, red sunglass wearing homers. Homers. Capital H, capital O, capital M, capital E, capital R, capital S. Homers to the bone. Who don't see anything wrong with anything in the Philadelphia sports world. Everything's got an excuse to it. Everything's got an explanation to it. They're just not good. No, it's always, well, they're not good because JT Realmuto hasn't slept in his own bed in 5 nights. They're not good because they're in London and the traveling schedule's kind of tough. They're not good because their wives are in from a foreign country. That's what I hear that's what I heard when I was with EOP for all 3 years of me working in that network. Right? All of it is so sickening to not just admit that the team stinks. That they're not a world championship caliber team. That they've made the wrong decisions and now fix it. I'm not saying that they stink and they'll stink forever, but it doesn't work. Bryce Harper is not clutch. He's not. He's all about Bryce Harper. He's all about the stats. He's all about the glam and the glitz. He could care. I don't think he cares one damn less about winning a Super Bowl. I almost said a Super Bowl, a World Series. I don't think he cares. He cares about Bryce Harper. Always has and always will. And I'm not faulting the man for that. That's just the way he's been raised through his world of being a baseball savant, right? He's always been told that. You're better than everybody. You're bigger than the game, yada, yada, yada. Well, he believes that, and he exudes that. But people in this town think that he cares about the Phillies, that he cares about Philadelphia. He doesn't. He doesn't. So the homers all year long gave it to me. And I had to hear the yang to the yin all season long. Well, yeah, but you can't judge the team over a span of 15 games. You can't judge a team over a span of 1 month. You can't judge a team over a span of 45 games. Blah, blah, blah. But you know what? When I throw out 81 games, when I say they were 42-39 through a half season of play, and in a half a season of play, they gave up 123 home runs or 100 and whatever it was, 18 home runs in the second half versus 64 home runs in the first half. They throw out some other BS to try to assuage their own angst about how bad this team could be. If you don't believe me, run the tape back, man, because it's deep around here. It's never a real conversation about how bad they are. It's always about, it's raining out and they're not feeling it. It's Sunday at 3:00 in the afternoon. You know how you feel. All year long, I get that crap. So I agree. I agree with you, Joseph. The only way the fans can let these idiots know they're unhappy is not to go to the games next year. Jeff, absolutely. Why not? You're absolutely correct. I've always maintained this as well. You or us, the fans, we are the majority stakeholder in all this. We're the ones lining Bryce Harper's pockets. We're the one lining Kyle Schwarber's pockets. Matter of fact, I say take it one step further. Head on down to Citizen Bank Park over the weekend. Drop off all your stuff in front of the Mike Schmidt statue. All of it. All your memorabilia, all your gear, all your swag, all your Phillies merch. Drop it off in front of the statue. Don't desecrate the statue, but drop it off in front of the statue and walk away. That's what the fans can do. Speak out. Tell John Middleton you're not happy. Show John Middleton you're not happy. Show John Middleton you demand change. Because, God damn it, you matter. You as the fans matter more than anything else. Don't go along with the homers. Don't go along with the ones who are telling you that it's going to be okay. No. If you want change, then demand it. That's a good point, Jeff. February 12th, that's even after the Super Bowl. It's right after the Super Bowl, Barbara. I mean, come on. You got to look at it this way, though, Barbara. You got to look at it this way. We got the football season kicking in, right? You got hockey starting. It started this week, and hopefully maybe get to hockey here in a little bit if I can get past the Phillies. We got hockey kicking in. So just as we're kind of settling into football and hockey, boom, it's baseball time again. You got to love it. Matter of fact, free agency starts like 24 hours after the last game of the World Series. I love that. There's no time to sit back and lament. Not like in football. Half a year you got between the seasons. So it's relatively not that far away if you kind of break it down. Because also we got, you got the holidays rolling in, right? You got Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. Just as you get recovered from New Year's, boom. Pitchers and catchers, the crack of the bat, the smacking of the leather, and it's all and it's all starting again. And I can't wait. I love baseball. I love baseball season. Tonight's tough because of the fact that I know me. I will not watch probably one pitch of any more baseball this year because the Phillies are done, and that's just the way I am. And obviously, I didn't want to end it in the NLDS. I wanted to carry it on, and of course, the fact that I ultimately want the Phillies to win, and I ultimately want them to be a world champion. Yeah, again, 2 championships in 49 years now and counting, something like that. So, yeah, I don't look at it as that long, Barbara. I look at it as a drop in the bucket of time. Thank you for bringing me on the show, brother. 2 years ago, I'm honored to have worked with the mayor. Pat, the honor is all mine, Pat. Pat, again, I said this at the top of the show. Pat, Sal, Mike, Al, all the contributors, all the people that made the Fightins final a success over the last 3 years. It sucks to go out like this. It really does. One of these damn seasons, we're going to go out on top, and one of these seasons, we're going to go out as champions. We just got to kind of stick it out and come back next year, and hopefully next year's the year and all that. But no, the work that's done on the Fightins final is really it's unnoticed, and it should be because that's what it's supposed to be. But there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes of the Fightins final through a course of 6 months of a season. I mean, it's a pretty damn long season. So all great work, guys. And as I said, we will do a season in review show probably somewhere around mid-November-ish after things kind of calm down. Maybe the Phillies make a couple moves in the interim. Maybe we have a new manager to talk about. Maybe Don Mattingly's the new manager of the Phillies and all that. So we'll see. But yeah, we're definitely going to wrap the season up like we do every year. So no, again, Pat, the pleasure was all mine. Thank you. Wheeler may be our only untouchable. Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I think Nola is too. Come on. Hearts might be breaking around Delaware Valley when I say that, but I can't discredit the fact that Nola just takes the ball every 5th day. Now, what he does with the ball, that's another story, but he takes it every 5th day. And that is very understated, and I need to have that. Maybe he's not a 2. Maybe he's our new 3, and we find another 2. I don't know, but I say Wheeler and Nola are pretty much the 2 untouchables on this team right now heading into 2025. And all of our farm system assets, because do you know who I really fear for? Especially if they don't fire Dombrowski, which they probably won't, which they might think about doing. But Dombrowski now will be entering, if he does survive, he'll be entering his 4th year or 4th trade deadline next season. He's not he's really kind of tried to mitigate the damage to the minor league systems. He's moved some pieces around here and there, but he hasn't touched any of the crown jewels of our minor league system. I'm afraid that next year it'll be all bets off and everybody might be on the move if he's trying to push the hump over to a world championship. So I'm concerned for our minor league system next year, because I think that might be, that's when it's going to go down, that he's going to pull the trigger on some mega deal sending out Justin Crawford and Aiden Miller and and company, Racones, Painter, players like that for somebody, for a rent a guy for 2 months. I'm really concerned about that, honestly. Left field, center field, third base, catcher, and maybe second baseman should be addressed either. That's a lot of positions, Barbara. Let's talk about those. All right, so we got left field, right? So right now they're running a platoon, correct? It's Marsh and Hayes. Marsh is under team control, so Marsh ain't going anywhere. Now, whether or not Marsh is a valued member of the Phillies next year, that's one thing, but he'll still be with the organization. Hayes, again, he's another young player who's under contract. He ain't going anywhere. So, unfortunately, I think we're kind of stuck with them, too. Center field, interesting position. There's 2 ways the Phillies could go with center field. Don't forget, Juan Soto is a free agent. Now, hear me out. Juan Soto is more than just a power hitter. He's a contact hitter. And Juan Soto at the top of our lineup, and goddamn if we get him and Kyle Schwarber still pulls his crap about wanting to lead off, no. But Juan Soto at the top of our lineup, listen, I mean, he's a contact hitter. He puts bat to ball, and he gets on base. But if I could have Juan Soto patrolling center field, that would be pretty good, right? Catcher, we got a few prospects in the system, but we traded away our number 1, who was Major League ready, Logan O'Hoppe. I'm going to die on that hill till I die. So we'd have to address that through free agency or a trade. I don't know if they're going to upgrade significantly with Eduardo Tate in the system, kind of working his way up. Maybe they find a better backup option than Garrett Stubbs. I'd be okay with a better backup option, going back to JT, but just a better backup option. Third base is another enigma. Does Aiden Miller get an opportunity? I think Aiden Miller is about 2 years away from actually coming into the major leagues to be a viable major leaguer. Again, do you go out there, free agent, as you said, with a stopgap third baseman? And then second base, Jesus Christ, man, we're just kind of throwing it all out, huh? I guess you could do something there with second. I mean, that's a lot to address. And the Phillies don't have it internally right now. Justin Crawford could be an internal fix at center. Aiden Miller's not ready yet at third. We don't have any catching prospects that are ready yet. And second base, we don't have anybody ready yet either. So that's a lot. That's a lot. But the outfield, the left field position more specifically, I think we're kind of trapped. I really do. We got two young players who are under team control. I'm not saying it's the right thing. And I don't think anyone's taking Brandon Marsh off our hands. And you know what? I have a tendency to believe Austin Hayes might be a salvageable prospect, given a full camp, come back healthy, give him another shot. I mean, you're going to have to. So, but I agree. These are all, and then don't forget, if Ranger Suarez, if he can come back next year, fully healed, whatever's wrong with him, he's your 3. Who's your 5? Who's your 5th starter? Is that an internal Andrew Painter, Mick Abel, McGarry, somebody else down in that area? Abel, did I say Abel? Is that we're going with as our 5th? And then what about the bullpen? We don't have a closer, right? Estevez, who Mr. Grand Slam, is on his way out of town. He's a free agent. Did we re-sign him? No. So we have to address the bullpen too. A lot of work, Barbara. A lot of work. This team's going to have to do a lot of work. And if they come back with a similar product, is that a slap in the face of the Phillies fans? If they run back a similar product that came off the field in 2024, 1 or 2 additions, a 5th starter, and maybe a bullpen arm, is that a slap in the face to the Phillies faithful? I say it is. Absolutely is. Amaro said in postgame that he hurts because the Phillies are the best team in baseball. LOL. What? Now, I don't know what Ruben Amaro is, what he was token on before he went on live. And again, Ruben follows the team around, and Ruben's a baseball guy. Ruben grew up in it. Ruben played it. He spent time as an executive, back down the field as a coach. Ruben knows baseball. And I'm not going to sit here and say that the Phillies stink, but there's something not working here. There's something not fitting here. They're not the best team in baseball. Certainly not. They're not playing right now. And to sit here and say that they're the best team in baseball and that they're not in the playoffs, then what happened? Did he clue people into what happened because if you're not the best team, if you are the best team in baseball, you should be playing. So what is it, Ruben? If they're the best team in baseball, why are they not still in the playoffs? There's something not working right. Is the lineup too imbalanced? Was it Rob Thompson and his stubbornity not to change anything around? Maybe Ruben's onto something. The problem in part, Harper won't be moved. Realmuto, same. It's easy to say, trade this guy, trade that guy for who? Thompson, GM. Yeah, and absolutely, Mike, 100%. And I made a really good point to that. These contracts are pretty extensive. And what's Harper going to get you? I mean, a couple prospects here or there. Realmuto, what's he going to get you? He's aging. I wouldn't take Realmuto off. I would take Realmuto off your hands for salary cap relief on the other side. I give you a bad contract for him. So again, it's a valid point. Who are we going to move for who? What do you think we're going to get back in trade for JT Realmuto? Who do you think we get back in trade for Bryce Harper? Bryce Harper is not considered in the top echelon anymore of Major League Baseball. He's not. He's being passed up. He's being passed up by Juan Soto and Aaron Judge. He's being passed up by Shohei Ohtani. He's being passed up by Tatis, Acuna. I mean, all these guys are passing him over as the new royalty of the sport. Who's Harper going to bring you back in trade? No small ball, no looking at pitches. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Once again, too many swinging at first pitches. And Mike, again, I don't remember seeing you before, so we talk about it all the time. We talk about the lack of situational baseball, lack of understanding what the other team is giving you. Go ahead and take it. The lack of sacrifice bunting, the lack of any kind of aggressive moving, not aggressive hitting, but aggressive moving people around the base paths. And then Alec Boehm tonight. Obviously, the play towards the end of the game with the ball hit down the first base line that was called foul. Here's the ruling on that play. All right, for all you people who maybe think that Boehm might have got hosed, because the ball bounced in the infield, in fair territory, it bounced. But as it passed over as it was passing over first base, it was passing over in foul territory. The ball's foul. Okay, if the ball would have passed over first base in the air and passed over first base, regardless, obviously it would have been in fair territory and then landed in foul territory. That ball then would be a fair ball. But because it bounced in the infield first, in fair territory, before crossing the first base bag, and then as it went beyond the first base bag, it went foul. That's why it's a foul ball. It was the right call. If it would have been in the air, that ball would have been fair all day. But because it bounced first, that's why it was foul. So there was some question about that. Some people were going on about he got hosed. He didn't get hosed. It was the right call. Eric Dolan screwed up Boehm's mind. He might have. I love your realness, Matty. You're different and better, in my opinion. Thank you, Barbara. I'm different. I like to be. And again, it's not that I'm a hater, man. I'm not a Negadelphian, man. I want to win, but I don't want to make excuses along the way. The baseball team right now, the way this team is, and when we move forward into 2025, we're going to sit here and have real expectations about changing things, about wanting to have a different script here. And barring a new manager and a new coaching staff and maybe some handful of players that they could probably bring in through free agency, there's nothing more we're going to be able to do because of contract issues. And that concerns me because do you think Harper, Castellanos, Schwarber, JT, Trey, are they going to listen to a Don Mattingly? Are they going to listen to that kind of coach tell them how to play baseball? No, it's going to be a huge issue in that locker room. And I ultimately fear that 2022 in the World Series, that was it. That was the high point. And now we're starting to kind of to draw back. And I'm not putting that out there just for a hot take. You're seeing it with your own eyes. Whether you want to accept it or believe it, I can't help you there. But you're seeing it with your own eyes. I'm not making it up. I'm not trying to peddle you some pipe dream. I'm not peddling you a falsehood. You're seeing it with your own eyes. And that's what a lot of people don't want to. They don't want to see it. They want to make excuses. They want to wish it away. I'm not doing that anymore, man. I haven't done that for a long time. I've been following these teams a half a century. Well, not a half a century, but I'm 51. So 40 plus years. And I'm tired of losing. I'm dog tired of losing. And I'm dog tired for making excuses of why we're losing. Winning and losing is life. It's one or the other. You win, great. You try to stay on top. You lose, then you try to improve yourself. But when you lose and you make excuses to why you're losing without trying to improve yourself, it's very counterproductive and it's exhausting. And I'm not buying into it anymore. Accept reality and try to fix it. That's what you do. So I get called negative, a hater for that, whatever. Fire Robbie and Dombrowski and go see if Theo Epstein won a job running the Phillies and let Theo bring in a capable manager that knows baseball and not living off of analytics. Man, that's a lot to digest there, Mike. Theo Epstein. What the hell is Theo Epstein at these days? Is he still with Boston? Or am I like 10 years in the past? Every time I hear the word Theo, or the name Theo Epstein, I'm sorry, I think of Matt Klentak. I really do. I think of the Theo Epstein baseball executive tree, and I see Matt Klentak on there. I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't know, man. Listen, nobody was against any of the signings that Dombrowski did. Everybody was thrilled when they brought Schwarber here. Everybody was thrilled when they brought Castellanos here. Everybody was thrilled when Turner came here. I was, and not everybody, but a majority of people were. I was big time on bringing Trey Turner here. It didn't work. And now Dombrowski's got to figure out what he can do next. Now, again, you jump in the bed with some of these guys, and sometimes you can't get out that easily. But the manager side of it, 100%. Robbie's got to go. But I don't think he gets fired. He retires. Don't you think? That's what happens with Rob Thompson. He'll announce in the next couple of days that he's decided to retire from baseball. The Phillies will never actually fire him, but he's probably going to retire. So I agree with firing or getting rid of Thompson. I wouldn't be against getting rid of Dombrowski, honestly, but I can't really fault the man for trying. It didn't work. Now he needs to figure out and go a different direction and try to salvage some of this. But I don't know, Theo Epstein, man, it's like 2010. It's like going back in time. I mean, why don't we just hire Billy Beane while we're at it? I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I don't know. There should be a mercy rule for bumbling fool managers, a.k.a. Robbie or Topper, or Mr. Feel for the game. Well, we have our fair share of those in this town right now, right? We got Sirianni, who's bumbling his way through the Eagles, and we got Rob Thompson, who bumbled his way through the Phillies. But can you blame Rob Thompson for this series? I mean, honestly. A lot of talk has been about the execution, the play on the field. I mean, did he make some bad decisions with the bullpen? Potentially. The bullpen let Rob Thompson down and let the Phillies down throughout the whole series. Now, could you connect the fact that there's no roles in the bullpen? So this was bound to happen, like I said it was going to happen. You probably can. You probably can connect that. But the execution of the players, the execution of playing baseball on the field, ultimately, is that Rob Thompson's fault? Ultimately, I think it is. But in the game, what's he going to do? I mean, throw a fit in the dugout? Start throwing Gatorade coolers around? I mean, that's probably what I would do, but that's why I'm not sitting in the dugout. The relationship between the players and the manager, regardless of if it's acceptable to the fans or not, it's a very unique, it's a very critical part of this. And obviously, whatever he was doing with the players, allowing them to do whatever they wanted to do, was working more for him than it wasn't working, except in key moments like the playoffs when it didn't work at all. Again, I am not advocating Rob Thompson's return to this town, nor am I advocating Kevin Long's return or any of the other coaches They all need to go. It's time for a new direction. It's a new voice in that realm. I agree. But I blame Thompson less for this year than I do for last year. A lot less. Ultimately, he's the manager and he's responsible. But last year, he straight up blew that series against the Diamondbacks. And you could maybe say the same thing. I mean, at least he tried to kind of maneuver the lineup all around a little bit, but he did it with the lower part of the lineup. And, I get it. I get it, Mike. I get it, man. It's frustrating. Remind you, everybody, that this show, if we can get past the Phillies, which is okay if we can't, this is a nightly program every Sunday through Thursday, 10 p.m. through whenever. We're going to go tonight as long as I need to go. We're going to go tonight as long as you need me to be here. So I'll keep going with this talk all night long. But Sundays through Thursdays on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. YouTube channel is on the scroll going across the screen. Now, if you are not watching it on the YouTube channel, please like and subscribe, because currently we are broadcasting as well, or streaming off of the EOP Facebook and X. But I do not know how long that will be for because of the new direction that EOP is going. So it might come a time real soon where the only place you'll be able to see this show will be on the YouTube channel and off of my X, which we're working some things out with that right now. But please go ahead down and like and subscribe. Tell a friend because MattyB needs your help. I got 20 subscribers. I'm on my way to 10,000 and I need your help. So everyone counts. Every vote counts, man. I need it. Dombrowski did nothing at the trade deadline to improve their team like left field. He got a closer who was never used properly by the manager. Mike, preaching to the choir, man. But I have a problem getting too spun up about the trade deadline this year because of all the angst that was directed at maybe moving some of the top prospects. Right? I was not on board with moving some of the top prospects. And I knew that was part of a lot of people's conversation. It drove a lot of the conversation this summer. Aiden Miller was the name everybody kept throwing out there. Aiden Miller. I'll trade Aiden Miller. I'll trade Painter. No one talked about Crawford too much, but Miller, Painter, Abel, all those names were cones. All those names were thrown around, and that scared me. I didn't want to move any of those kids. I really didn't. And I actually, for what we ended up picking up, I thought we gave up too much for anyway. We gave up Samuel Aguirre, who was a up and coming pitcher. He's now in Anaheim. Who else did we move down there? Another pitcher, the pitcher that went to Baltimore. No, both of them went to Anaheim. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but I thought we gave up too much for Estevez in the process. But you're right, and I said it too. Why are we bringing a closer? Dombrowski said it, for God's sakes. He's a closer, but we're going to ask him to do more. So you're right, Mike. It was a ridiculous trade because he's not going to be used as a closer. Well, he will be, but not always. As far as Hayes goes, was there better bats available out there for the price they paid to get Hayes? I think so. Yeah, and I think you're right. Dombrowski missed the mark big time on that. What's his last two offensive trade deadline pickups? Hayes and Rodolfo Castro. I mean, come on, man. Come on. We got to do better than that. But you're right. No, you're absolutely right. You've been calling for Robbie's head as he does not want to change his lineup. Well, the top three, and he has no clue on how the team fabricate, run, or bullpen, and how to get. Yeah, no, he doesn't. He shows that he doesn't. I'm not saying he doesn't know how to do it. He doesn't seem to know how to teach it or get the players to do it. And that's an issue, right? That's one of my major issues with this team. Their lack of fundamentals and their lack of ability to understand situational baseball. And that does fall on the manager. Of course, the lineup. You know what? What was the biggest player that we all whipped on all season long? It was Castellanos. Dreadful. Did he ever take it? Did Castellanos play every inning of every game? Or not every inning, but did he start every game? Every single game this season? I think he did. Never got a day off. And goddamn, he was bad. But he kept with them. And at the end of the season, Castellanos was probably, as far as tonight goes, The only bright spot offensively for this team. Now, I don't know what that says, but, he kept riding them. As far as moving the lineup around, you're right. I don't understand it either. Schwarber's not a leadoff hitter. You're never going to tell me Schwarber's a leadoff hitter. Under no circumstances is Kyle Schwarber a leadoff hitter. He's a prototypical 4. Matter of fact, if you look in the dictionary and look up cleanup hitter, there's a picture of Kyle Schwarber going like this. I don't care if he's not comfortable there. He'll get comfortable, or he won't play. So I agree. There needs to be there, and maybe that's all it is, Mike. Maybe that's all it is. It's a new voice. It's a hybrid between John Tortorella and Nick Sirianni. It's a hybrid. It's a mix between the two of them. Can you imagine what that coach would be like? Maybe that's the kind of coach we need. And I'm telling you, Don Mattingly, he's the bench coach with the Blue Jays, or he was. Bring him here, man. Is it too Joe Girardi-ish? Maybe. But we definitely need a new voice, right? We need a new voice. Jimmy Rollins wants that John Middleton wants to the George Steinbrenner of the MLBs. Yeah, 27 world championships. I'll take that. Better than 2. I don't care how they get them, Mike. I really don't. I don't care how the Phillies win them. I just want to win them at this point. Heartbroken in Baghdad, buddy. I'm sorry, Fred. You're in Baghdad? What part of Baghdad are you in? Are you referring to Baghdad or Iraq? So I spent some time there. But you're right. It is a heartbreak. Crawford should be starting center fielder next season, and Hayes is useless. Crawford should get a real healthy look this spring. I agree with you. He should be one of the major stories in camp, along with Mick Abel and along with Andrew Painter. Oh, and by the way, a little report here. Let me pull this out. So I guess the Arizona Fall League, which started yesterday, the Phillies did send 10 players. 10 players are now in the Arizona Fall League, and the team that the Phillies support in the Arizona Fall League is the Glendale Desert Dogs. Tristan Garrett, the pitcher, Griff McGarry, the pitcher, Kristen McGowan, the pitcher, Wesley Moore, pitcher, Lou Hin Penn, the pitcher, Jordan Disson, their catcher, Otto Kemp, shortstop, Brian Racone, the second baseman, Gabriel Racones Jr., the left fielder, and a last-minute addition to the Glendale Desert Dog roster is Andrew Painter. So Andrew Painter, those 10 players are in the Arizona Fall League. I think Painter's pitching on the 12th of this month, if I'm not mistaken. So be checking out the Glendale Desert Dogs of the Arizona Fall League. That's the team where all the Philly players get sent to as they are going to 10 minor leaguers are there. Justin Crawford is not there, which is interesting. It's the first year he was there last year and he's not there this year. That could be a telltale sign of what his future might be. But 10 Phillies players were sent to the Arizona Fall League by the Phillies. Absolutely, Fred. Absolutely. No way Stott should go anywhere. I disagree. Stott regressed in a big-time way. Bryson Stott regressed huge this year. Bryson Stott became, to me, a solid 8-hitter in 2024. I lost all faith in him offensively at 100%. And they had him batting 5th, which was criminal. That was criminal. And to go along with Mike's point, I mean, that lineup construction, it's got to go. You got Bryson Stott batting 5th. You got Kyle Schwarber leading off. I mean, it's a mishmash of a manager who doesn't seem to understand his players. But I disagree. If we could move Bryson Stott, I'd move him in a heartbeat. I would move Bryson Stott in a heartbeat, along with Alec Bohm. What do you think of Wilson taking the stream over? Hey, what do you think of Wilson taking this stream over? I don't know what you mean. Who's Wilson? Who was Wilson? Hoping Painter can be there. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see Painter coming back from Tommy John again. He's going to pitch for the first time live action, I believe, on the 12th of this month. So if you have a way to stream the Glendale Desert Dogs, be looking out around October 12th. I think it's a couple days from now. I need to get Miller from Oakland, Vegas. Yeah, well, that was the Mason Miller. Yeah. Why didn't we get him at the trade deadline? 3/4 of the bullpen should be gone. Ruin tomorrow should have nothing to say about baseball operations. Yeah. 3/4 of the dugout or the bullpen should be gone. Well, let's look at that. So Hoffman, listen, I'll keep Hoffman, but not in high leverage. Again, this high leverage, low leverage crap, Hoffman is a long reliever. Hoffman is the kind of guy I bring in the third inning when somebody can't get out of the third inning or someone gets hurt in the second inning or somebody can't get out of the first. Hoffman's a long reliever. Ruiz is a long reliever. These are my 1 through 5th inning guys. Hoffman, Ruiz, who else? There's a third guy I'm forgetting. There's a third one, maybe even Kerkering at this point. My 6th inning guy. Let's go with Strom. Strom and McKee, or I'm sorry, not McKee, Banks. Keep Tanner Banks. Strom and Banks, and then you got Alvarado somewhere there in the 7th inning. The problem is we don't have an 8th or a 9th. I don't have a setup guy or a closer right now in the bullpen. We got to find one because Alvarado, I can't trust Alvarado in the 8th inning. I can trust him in the 7th, maybe the 6th, but I'm not going to go any higher than that with him. So I need a setup guy and I need a closer. So I say I would retain them all and just add 2 more arms to it, personally. Phillies need a power bat to protect Harper, either Schwarber or someone else. We need a power bat to protect Harper. How many more friggin' power bats do we want, Mike? We have the power bats. They just need to change the lineup around. I'm not bringing in another power bat. I am not bringing in another home run hitter. No. I need people that can get on base, goddammit. I need people that can move people along on base. Mets got better at the deadline. We whiffed badly. Can't deny it, man. I cannot deny it. The Mets got better. Actually, the Mets got better from inside their system. With Vientos and Iglesias, they were, 2 call-ups this year that really, really charged up the Mets a little bit, man. The Phillies need to hand a 25-year-old Juan Soto a 10-year deal. Now he's worth the money. I agree. That would be awesome. If they could go out and get Juan Soto. Listen to this lineup. Soto leading off. Turner batting 2nd. Harper 3rd. Schwarber 4th. JT 5th. Castellanos 6th. Hayes 7th. Stott 8th. Crawford 9th. How's that grab you? Can you live with that lineup? I think I can. I can live with that lineup. Did I miss somebody in there? Where did I put Bohm? How would that lineup grab you? I would love that. Only because they're a little darlings of MLB over Harper. Harper was still excellent this season. He played. Harper was not excellent, man. Harper was brought here to help us win a championship. He was not excellent. Okay? I'm tired of this, man. Harper was about the stats. Fred, I get you, man. I'm having a hard time processing pro Bryce Harper stuff right at this particular moment in time because I just don't see Bryce Harper in that light. I see Bryce Harper as a self-gratifying prima donna. He's all about himself. He had 30 home runs, 80 some RBIs, whatever it was. Won the Player of the Month twice. What does any of that matter? When we needed him, he wasn't there. When we needed him, he was not there. Neither was Schwarber. Neither was Turner. Neither was Real Muto. But neither was Harper. So that to me is what an excellent season is all about. A batted ball is not fair if it crosses the bag 100%. Yep. A batted ball is not fair or foul. No, I disagree. Yeah, well, no, listen. If it but you got to understand, if the ball were to hit in the infield like it did in this case in fair territory before the bag, and then rolled beyond the bag and then crossed over on fair side, that's fair or that's foul. If it was heading over in the air and as it's crossing over first base, crosses into foul territory after it crosses first base, it's fair. It was all because where the ball hit on the ground first. That's where this all got kind of confusing. The NL East is about to get tougher. Yeah, listen, you Jacobo, it's a great point, man. The Braves are going to be healthy next year. The Nationals are going to be better. The Mets are going to be the Mets. It's going to be a 3-team race in that division, and I don't think the Nationals are that far behind everybody else. The Marlins are the only team that might be floundering. Sorry about that. That was a stupid joke, but other than that, it's going to be a 3-team race with the Nationals pushing for a wild card, I think. Honestly, I wouldn't mind that. I would not mind that at all. Didn't Dusty interview for the job after Kepler got fired? Wasn't he part of that group that interviewed him, Alma Girardi? I wouldn't be against Dusty Baker at all being here. That's exactly the type of manager we need. Not at all. Absolutely. # winning. How far am I behind on this, man? Oof. Theo was working in the commissioner's office. I think he might be retired. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I get the point here, but we're like 15 years beyond Theo Epstein. I didn't like signing turn to a 10, 11-year contract. Yeah, no, I agree. But majority of us loved it because of the optics of a Trey Turner being here, or the optics being paired up with a Bryce Harper. I mean, I get it, Mike. I do. It's painful, man. It's painful, especially in the situation that we're in right now. Estevez and Hayes, how did that pay? Not good at all. Not good at all. As have all his trade deadline moves up to this point. All of Dombrowski's trade deadline moves up to this point have ended the same way, in losing. As long as butts are in the seats, ownership doesn't care. Mike, we talked about this earlier. It was brought up earlier. And that is a 100% fact. If the fans really want to voice their displeasure with the team, then do it where it hurts them the most, and that's in their pocket. I mentioned, I think it was Mike said, don't go to games. Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned everyone should go down to Citizen Bank Park in the next couple of days. Give it to everyone's gonna be down there Sunday anyway because of the Eagles. Go down there on Sunday. Take all your merch, drop it off in front of the Mike Schmidt statue with signs. Hell, picket, protest, do what you got to do. Voice your displeasure to the management, because if you don't, they're going to continue to do what they want to do. Rob Thompson needs to go. They need to fire him. I think that's pretty. What do you think, Mike? That's pretty much a done deal at this point, right? So, hey, the Phillies lose 4-1. Let's take a look real quick around Major League Baseball, because there were other games tonight as we had some action in the realm of playoffs. Let me refresh this because I don't know if this is up to date. It's 5-0. The Dodgers, man. The Dodgers looking to tie that series up at 2 apiece. They're up 5-0 at the top of the 6th. What do you think? Dodgers, Mets, Padres, Mets. What are you looking at there? The Tigers, man. Detroit Tigers taking a stranglehold in the series over the Guardians. They beat the Guardians today 3-0. They now lead the series 2-0. And the Yankees also take a 2-1 series lead over the Royals with a 3-2 win today. And of course, Phillies. Phillies lose 4-1 and end their season. So the Tigers, the darlings of a Tiger Met World Series. Would Major League Baseball be happy with that? I would. I think it'd be awesome. As long as the Mets don't win. But listen, we're going to keep the conversation going, but I do want to pause for your day in Philadelphia sports history, because we have a script to follow here on the show, and I have to do it. So on this day in Philadelphia sports history, we go back to the year 1983, and Bill Barber. That's right, Bill Barber, man. Bill Barber was the first Flyer player in history to record his 400th career NHL goal. And at that time, he was the 19th player all time in National Hockey League history to record his 400th career goal. And it happened on this night in 1983. So the reason why I bring that up is we have other sports to talk about. Now, again, as I said, the train is being driven by the Phillies tonight, but I do want to mention that here on Friday night, the Flyers will kick off their 24-25 season in Vancouver, and here on the network, we will be presenting the Clear the Ice post-game show. We'll take you through the Flyers season. Right now, it's me, and I believe Frankie James and Coach Bex are going to be the ones kind of piloting the ship in the beginning. We'll see where it goes. kind of exploring different options with that right now. But the Flyers will get things kicked off Friday, but the NHL as a whole got things kicked off, I think, last night, or actually it was a couple days ago, because they had the Nation series out there, and I think it was in what was it, Chechnya, I think it was. But they did get things rolling. The season has begun officially in the NHL. And the newest club, the newest team in the National Hockey League, the Utah Hockey Club, formerly known as the Arizona Coyotes, got off on the winning note, a 2-0 victory over the Blackhawks last night. In a very, this whole hockey club, football club thing, that's such a cop-out when it comes to a team name now. The reason why they are called the Hockey Club is because they didn't have time to do a proper name ceremony. So they're going to do a contest this year and come up with an actual permanent name for next year. But yeah, the hockey season is in full swing. We got football to talk about tomorrow here on the network at 6:30. Please be joining us for the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn. He is a 94 WIP midday show producer. And we do a little pregame show. Me and Kyle have been doing it together for 5 years. And he'll be back tomorrow as we'll talk Cleveland Browns Eagles. We'll also review the Tampa game because we didn't have an opportunity to do that last week due to the bye week. So Kyle Quinn will be there tomorrow. And then tomorrow night, the final word, MattyB, will also air. And we'll continue this great discussion about what's happening in the world of Philadelphia sports. And of course, tonight, the main topic is the Phillies going down in flames to the Mets 4-1 and being eliminated from the playoffs. Junior June Vegas says blink October. Yep, and it's gone. Goodbye, Emilio Estevez. Thanks for nothing. Oh, there. We came, we saw, we left. This is all very, you're right. 162 games and 4 playoff games. Was that, are you counting the amount of games that we played, or are you counting the amount of games Nick Castellanos played? Because I don't think a guy had a day off. Thompson's worst mistake was undefined roles in the bullpen. Barbara, I'm going to get that tattooed next to the wrist up here. Undefined roles in the bullpen right there. I just was so tired. I talked, if you run the tape back to our Fighting's Final season preview episode back in mid-March, I said it. I said, listen, I fear that the undefined roles of our bullpen are going to be our undoing. So, yeah, man, but no one listened to me. They called me a crackpot, Barbara. They called me a Negadelphian, a hater. So, Fred says Iraq. Oh, so you are in Iraq. Now, are you on one of the many U.S. coalition complexes, VBC, places like that? Well, whereabouts are you? Are you in the green zone? Are you in downtown Baghdad? Whereabouts are you at, Fred? Like to know. George Steinbrenner was never buddy with his managers. I think Middleton needs his Billy Martin. Yeah, we do. We do need our Billy Martin, but the players would never stand for a Billy Martin this year at this point, though. Gary Brown says, yes. Yes, about what? You're a Harper hater. He played well above average first base. I'm a Harper hater? No, I'm not. I'm a championship losing hater. That's what I am. And everybody who stands in my way of winning a championship is my enemy. Okay? That's what I am. Harper played above. Did we bring him here to play an above average first base? What did we bring him here to do? Win championships. What's he done? Jack squat. All right? Don't call me a Harper hater. Call me a losing hater. I hate to lose. And Harper right now is a loser. I mean, just like the rest of them. Again, Fred, let's call it what it is, man. All right? You can go to bed with your Bryce Harper poster hanging on your bedroom wall all you want. But the bottom line was he was brought here to win championships. And he's failed to do that up to this point. Get rid of Marsh and the dumb manager. Marsh, you know what? Marsh, I think Marsh should have to battle for a playoff spot, a roster spot this spring. And I would not be averse to sending Marsh to Lehigh Valley. I really wouldn't. Absolutely not. You know, the fact that he can't play every day, that he has to platoon, it's a liability for this team. And it was a liability this year. So you're right. I'm not saying get rid of Marsh, but penciling him into the opening day lineup of 2025, no. I think he has to come and earn a spot. And the manager, absolutely. Dusty Baker loves Harper. That's fine. If he can get him to win a championship, I don't care. Good night, hon. I'll be watching the Flyers and checking for shows. Thank you, Barbara, and have a good night for the rest of your night as well. Harper was signed to play right field, actually. So, yeah, and that's a good point. Harper wasn't even brought here to play first base. So, all right, everybody. Oh, man, hour and 16 minutes. That's what I'm talking about. Listen, it's not, all this is good. We have to talk about this because it has to be addressed. The Phillies were a disappointment. The Phillies were an embarrassment. The Phillies failed. And there's no wrong in talking about that. Now we got to wonder what next. What are the steps that are going to rectify this? What is the coach speak we're going to hear? Can't wait for the exit press conferences. Can't wait for the exit interviews with Dombrowski and Thompson. I cannot wait for that. Or does Thompson get the axe right off? Do we hear news tomorrow about potential coaching changes? Probably not. But it's a sad day whenever we cannot achieve our goal, which was to win a championship. That's all I heard, and that's all I was on board with. It was World Series or bust. Well, we got the bust. And now it's time to fix it. It's time to get better. Remember, the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Tomorrow night at 6:30, be back here for the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn, the quintessential Eagles pregame show, as we will break down Eagles-Browns and look back at Eagles-Bucks. And then tomorrow night, it'll be the final word with MattyB. Again, we'll get more into this Phillies talk. We'll actually start talking some Eagles. Of course, there were some moves made. Devin White no longer with the team. The locker room, is it fractured? Has Sirianni lost it? How pivotal, how important is this week's game against the Cleveland Browns when you look at the holistic ability of the season? Is this a must-win game for the Eagles on Sunday? We'll talk about that. Flyers, again, getting ready to kick things off in Vancouver. And anything else that will grab our fancy. We're going to introduce a new segment or two tomorrow on the show. And this is our second episode, so big night here on the program. Last couple more. Let's hope the Birds don't break our hearts next. Zach, again, I've never seen you before, and I hope you, again, like and subscribe down here on YouTube. Make sure you're checking in. Wait till you get a load of me, buddy. I don't know if you guys are ready for me, man. They should hire him in New York. They should fire him in New York. They should fire him in New York. Who's they and who? Who's what? I don't get that. All right, everybody. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for being a major contributor to the show. Phillies lose tonight 4-1. This is not the Titans final, but we did have the Titans final tonight. This was the final word with MattyB. I wish you guys a good rest of your Wednesday night. We'll talk again tomorrow at 6:30 when the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn is on. And then we'll be back tomorrow night at around 10 o'clock. And can't wait. You guys have a good rest of your night and a great tomorrow.